Hey, uh, you fellas mind telling me what you're doing to my little green pal over there? Hmm? Anyway, welcome to another game pickups video. I got a ton of stuff this time, so I'm gonna try and plow through this as best as I can. Before we get to the games, I got a few gaming-related thingamabobs, like this Pokeball plush pillow. I found this on clearance at Target. It's very soft and squishy. One of my favorite gaming mascots of the 90s was Earthworm Jim. And I remember there was a cartoon series based off of him. So, on a whim, got it on DVD, and it's pretty good, I guess. You know, it's nothing too special. It kind of reminds me of the show Freakazoid. And one thing that's kind of funny is at the end of every episode, a cow lands on somebody, obviously reference to the, to the game. And there's a lot of familiar voice actors in here, like Charlie Adler, for example. He's probably my favorite cartoon actor of all time. Or voice actor, I should say. A couple of years ago, I started collecting World of Nintendo figures, and soon after I started collecting third-party character figures as well. And I remember in the late 90s there was toys of Crash Bandicoot. Unfortunately now those are very expensive for whatever reason, even out of the box and used and stuff, so I got this cheap little rubber one, which is posable. It's, you know, better than nothing. I just need to paint a few things, like his shoes, for example. Big Halo fan, so I found these Hot Wheels Halo vehicles. I got the Warthog and the Ghost. There's actually 5 different ones altogether, but these were the only ones I was interested in. Now for the games, I got some SNES goodness. I did manage to get my hands on an SNES Classic Edition. Really been enjoying it, you know, because I know I sound like a broken record, but it's my favorite console of all time, so it was like, doing what I was like, oh, I gotta have it. Like, you know, so many of the games on here I have great memories with, and it's already been hacked. You know, I mean, I haven't hacked it personally, but I know people have hacked it to add more games. But yeah, I went over to my local Walmart on the morning of launch day, and I managed to get the last one. I actually did an unboxing video of this too, but yeah, really been enjoying that. Now for the original Super Nintendo, which I should probably note I got this stuff before the SNES Classic Edition. I got an SN Pro Pad controller, which I used to have one of these when I was a kid. I always liked these little translucent types of stuff where you can see all the little mechanics. There's turbo switches for the A, B, X, and Y buttons. And there's also, on the back, there's a turbo switch for the start button, so for certain games, it'll keep pausing and making it look like the game's going in slow motion. I got 3 games which are actually reproduction cards because, well, the original games are very expensive, so these ones, the labels look halfway decent, and they play just like the real thing, so. But anyways, the first one is Sunset Riders, which is such a classic. My brother had this back in the day, and unfortunately he ended up trading it away, but that's a whole other story. And we actually did make it to the last boss back then, but I don't think we ever beat it. I love that game. So many great memories. Music was awesome in that game, too. Next we have another Konami classic, Metal Warriors, which is basically, it's a run-and-gun shooter game where you play as these different robot mechs, and if your mech is about to be destroyed, you can jump out and find another one, which I always thought that was kind of cool. And there's also a 2-player versus mode, which is a lot of fun, because I remember my brother rented this all the time back in the day. And I remember one of my favorite of the robot mechs, I actually made it out of, like, Legos. Well, sort of. I made it out of Legos, and I had it for quite a few years, but I ended up disassembling it because I needed the parts. And the last one is SWAT Cats, the Radical Squadron, based off the cartoon series from the early 90s by Hanna-Barbera, and that's upside down. But for those who don't remember the show or never heard of it, I guess you could say it's kind of like Batman, because you have these 2 vigilantes who use all kinds of gadgets and gizmos and stuff to fight crime. I mentioned Charlie Adler earlier. Well, he voiced this character, T-Bone, and the other one is voiced by, drawing a blank on his name, but he voiced Donatello in the original cartoon series, Ninja Turtle series. Now, as for the game, it's relatively accurate with the show, which is nice. And each level has 2 different modes, which definitely takes some getting used to. Like, you have a platform shooter mode, which your weapon only shoots like 3 feet in front of you, so like I said, it definitely takes some getting used to. And then you have a rail shooter mode, where the screen will keep spinning or do other kind of wonky things. So, other than that, the game isn't bad. It's worth checking out, but it's not exactly a must-play title. The music is really good because, in fact, the show had awesome music, and the Season 2 intro theme is fucking badass, and that song is actually in the game, so it's kind of cool hearing like a 16-bit version of it. I got a PS1 game, which has been on my list for a while, Tenchu Stealth Assassins. I love this game. I think this was the first sneaking game I ever played back in the day. I loved it right away. I need to get the PS1, the one for PS2 as well at some point, but this is a series Activision really needs to bring back. I mean, I think we've seen enough Call of Duty to last more than a lifetime. This was such a fun game. And a funny thing, I remember shortly after this game came out, LEGO came out with a ninja series, not Ninjago. This was much simpler, and one of the ninjas had a gray ninja outfit, and I used to always pretend that it was Rikimaru, because he was always my favorite character in that. Yeah, I had an obsession with ninjas growing up. Why? I don't know. I got some Dreamcast games. The first one actually happens to be my favorite game on the system. That is Dynamite Cop, the sequel to Die Hard Arcade, both of which are awesome 3D beat-em-up titles. And this is complete and in really good condition. Normally this would go for because it's complete and everything, it would be around the $50, $60 range. And as I mentioned in other videos, my price limit on retro games is $30. Well, I saw this for $38, so I was like, well, it's complete, it's only another $8, over my limit, so to speak, and, like I said, usually it's way more than that, so I was like, hell, I'll jump for it, so, yeah, really happy to have that, finally. The other one I got, where the hell is it? It's here somewhere. Oh, it's in my lap, duh. I'm getting old. But anyways, it's the Nestor DC Special Edition. I think there's quite a few different versions of this, because it's basically, it's like every NES game on the, and then plus Famicom and some different demos and stuff, so it's a nice little alternative way to play NES games, especially the more rare and expensive ones like Bucky O'Hare. I was playing that one night, I couldn't stop, because I haven't played that since I was a kid, and it's such a classic. And it's funny to think about that, for the past, 15 years, you've been able to play Sega games on Nintendo consoles, and because of stuff like this, you're playing Nintendo games on a Sega console. I mean, technically, yeah, it's not really an official Nintendo title, but it... Shut up and laugh. Anyway, I got 2 PSP games. The first one is Wipeout Pure, which, I never really played too many Wipeout titles, but I'm really liking this one. It's a lot of fun. The music's good, and I like the versus mode and all that. The other game I got was Daxter, spin-off of the Jak and Daxter series. You play as Daxter, and it's a fun little platformer. You have all kinds of different vehicles and stuff. Basically, you're fighting all these different insects and stuff, which you have all kinds of cool weapons for. And there's also some, what do you call, a dream mode, I guess you could say. They're almost like little mini games. They're a lot of fun to play. Now I got some Xbox One titles. The first one is Carmageddon Max Damage. I've seen this game around, and I've always kind of glanced at it and stuff, and then it was on clearance at Walmart, I think for like $10, something like that. So I was like, I'll give it a shot. So I'm glad I did, because I've actually really been enjoying it. This is a fun game. It's almost like a cross between Twisted Metal and, I guess you could say, like Daytona, one of those arcade racers. You know, so you like race, like blow each other up, run over civilians and stuff. You know, there's different ways to complete each level. Like I said, it's a very fun game. There's all kinds of weird characters and stuff. And I got the Mega Man Legacy Collection 2, which I bought the first one on like kind of a whim. I mean, because I still have the collection that came out like 13 years ago or whatever. But like I said, I bought the first one on a whim, so I was like, I might as well get the second one. I mean, I don't have the 9th game anyway, so I do have 10. I have 7 and 8, but I don't have 9. One of the things I liked about the first collection is the little bonus challenges. Like, for example, try and beat the 8 bosses from the second game in under 5 minutes or something like that. You know, I always thought those were a lot of fun. And the thing is, like, yeah, I know, like, Capcom is, like, milking the old games to death, but it's, like, I'm a very optimistic person, so it's, like, I'll do whatever I can to keep the spirit of Mega Man alive. Now, the last Xbox One game I actually got the digital version a while ago, but the physical version comes out today. And that's the Friday the 13th game, which... the game is buggy, but it's so much fun. It's almost like the game... it's almost like if you took Manhunt and made it into a multiplayer game. See, one player plays as Jason, and everyone else is counselors. So, if you're playing as Jason, the goal is to, well, kill everyone, which you can do in a variety of different ways. So because as you play, you get experience points, which you unlock other characters, and you play as different skins of Jason. Like, you know, there's one from each movie, like, for example, the one from the second movie with the sack over his head, or the one from the 8th movie where it looks like he's melting. And so, each one has, like, a different weapon, and then you can kind of, like, customize them with, like, different fatalities. So, because like I said, there's different ways to kill people. You can either just keep hitting them with the weapon, or you can pick them up and then do, like, a fatality, which, like I said, you can pick different ones for each Jason. Probably one of my favorites is the, he punches their head off, kind of like in the 8th movie. Or if you can do environmental kills, like, for example, one time, there was a level with a bird bath, and this kid, he was playing as Jason, and he killed me with the bird bath. What he did is he took, like, the bowl off, and he impaled me onto the base of it. He can also throw knives and put down bear traps, or like throw them through windows and stuff. Now, if you're playing as the counselors, you the goal is to survive. You know, which I think it's like the matches are like 20 minutes. So you have to try and elude Jason, because there's different ways Jason can track people. Like, see, certain counselors, they have different staminas. Like, for example, I always pick the characters with the best stealth. Like, if their stealth is really low, then when they walk, it gives off like a pulsing sound thing, so it makes it easier for Jason to find. One of the things that I know people were kind of thought was stupid was Jason has like different abilities. One of which is he can teleport, but it's not like, you know, when he teleports you see all this like mystical stuff and stuff. It's just like he just vanishes and then like, which it makes sense if you watch the movies, because he just like pops up out of nowhere. Like, you know, he'll be right behind you, you run, then all of a sudden he's right in front of you. Now with the counselors, like I said, you go through different cabins. You find weapons which you can use to you can like whack Jason with them and it'll like stun him. If you can find little secondary items like a pocket knife which you can stick in his neck if he grabs you. You can also, the counselors can also use bear traps to slow him down. You can lock doors. You can hide in cabinets or under beds. What else was there? Or there's different ways to win if you're the counselor. You can also try to escape, which there's a few different ways to do that. One is you find this little phone thing or like a piece of a phone cord or something. You use that to repair the phone. Then you call the police, and they'll show up at one of the exits in 5 minutes, so you can try and escape with them. Another way is some of the levels have 2 cars, some levels have a car and a boat. So you have to basically fill the gas tank of the car. You have to find a tank of gas or a gas canister and fill that, either the boat or the car, which is like a quick little mini game thing. Then you have to find, if it's a car, you have to find the battery and install it. If it's the boat, you have to find the propeller and install it. And you also have to have the keys, so you can use that to escape. But the car is a pain in the ass to drive, and Chaser can break it too. Another thing is you can call Tommy Jarvis, who was in episodes 5 through 6, and he's like a maxed out character. Basically, he has like everything, and yeah, so he's like a cool little he's like, the way you play as Tommy is first you have to call him with a ham radio, and when somebody dies, they can come back as him, so it's like a quick little bonus, and you can actually kill Jason too, which I haven't seen it done because it's very specific. See, when Jason takes enough damage, his mask will come off, and so you can also find Pamela, Jason's mother's sweater. So here's the thing. First you have to, in order to kill Jason, you have to knock off his mask. Then somebody playing as Tommy Jarvis has to stun him. Then somebody playing as a female character has to hit him with a machete while wearing Pamela's sweater. Damn. Sorry. But yeah, it's a fun game, but it is a bit lackluster because, you know, as far as I know, there's only 3 levels. I'm pretty sure there's only 3 levels, and that's really all you do is just like the versus mode. You know, and then there's no really like story mode or anything. But you know, if you don't want to spend the money on it, I'd say like try a demo, or if maybe like a friend has it or something. Like it's like a friend of my brother's and I were trying to convince him to buy it. And because I already have the game, like I said, the physical version comes out today, I'm probably not going to buy it again unless it comes to the Nintendo Switch, because I would love to see this game get ported to the Nintendo Switch, because if I get the Switch and the game is ported to that, I'll buy it again, because I would love to try and play it in the portable mode out in the woods at night. Anyway, moving on, I got one game left. That is Metroid Samus Returns, which is a remake of the classic Metroid 2 for the Game Boy. And it's a nice little remake. I've really been enjoying it. I'm actually probably like 3/4 of the way through. You know, she has all kinds of great new techniques and stuff. Like there's one where if an enemy's charged at her, she can go like that and repel them, and it stuns them, and she shoots them. The music is awesome. And I guess that's about it. If you played, like I said, it's a remake, so if you played the original, it's a great remake. So, that's all my pickups for this week. Be sure to rate, comment, share, and subscribe. Happy Friday the 13th, if you excuse me. I'm gonna go smash some mirrors, walk under ladders, and collect all the black cats I can find.